A trigger are, how do I want to put it? Embedded, habitual emotion, thought places where a thought will trigger an emotion instantaneously. Okay? It's an embedded, habitual behavioral response where you have a thought where an emotion will attach so quickly you don't have a chance to do anything with that thought. And so then a response happens. Because remember, emotion, especially strong emotion, that's what the trigger is. A strong emotional response will then trigger what? A reaction, right? Thought, strong emotion, action. So what's a trigger? It's a habitually embedded instant response loop, okay? Here's the loop. A thought, which then, if you have the proper thing, could be decided what to do with it, and then appropriate emotion attached to it or not, then an action would take place. But if you have an instantaneous loop that can trigger thought, emotion, action, and that's where you push a button and someone just explodes, okay? Because you triggered a incredibly fast loop where the thought and the emotion immediately brings a response. There's no time to do the taking into captivity, to dwell upon, to decide what appropriate response should be, because you've now trained yourself to have an instantaneous loop trigger. Okay, did you follow that? Okay? All right? In other words, what should take, and I'm using my hands as a demonstration. If you're listening to this, you don't see my hands are fairly far apart. So the thought, and if it's one that needs to take action, which should then have a process of getting emotions attached to it, which lead to an action, has been gone from my hands being about 4 feet apart to being almost at the same exact second. In other words, that whole process is compressed into an instantaneous. It's so quick, you don't even realize there's any time. Something happens, and right away you're reacting to it. Now, in between, an emotion was triggered. Thought, emotion, action becomes instantaneous instead of having space. And that's where all the bad stuff happens. If you don't allow space to go from thought to response, almost nothing but bad can happen. Okay? All right? There needs to be that ability to do that, to put space where you take the thought and make sure it's a good thought. Now, there's nothing wrong with having habitual triggers that shortens that for good things. Somebody does something nice for you, whatever, and you right away give them a quick and genuine thank you. Or I appreciate that. You don't need to think a lot about, I wonder if I should thank them, and I wonder if they should appreciate, so there's right things that you should embed, but do that on purpose. Purposely train yourself. Okay? Janet's out there making all these notes for her next session with her clients. Okay. Purposely train yourself. Now, how do you do this? You can do this on purpose. I teach all of the people that counsel with me this technique. This is a technique all of you can do. And this is appropriate for today because all of you can use this as part of this, of the study of the Word. All right? The next time something happens, or if you know something that's recent enough that you can remember it and picture it in your mind clearly, detail by detail, like playing back a movie. Okay, like you have a DVR in your head. You can just play it back. Go ahead and play back a situation where you did not react the way you know you should have. That you're upset with yourself because you got triggered, okay? And this time, practice and rehearse your response being different. Okay? Situation happened, something happened within your sphere of awareness, because sometimes it doesn't even happen to you, it happened near you and you still respond to it. Okay? It happens in your sphere of awareness, and this time, in your running it back, have everything play out exactly the same up to the moment where you're aware of what happened or you're aware of what's going on, and be aware of your thought, and then pause it and ask yourself what's the appropriate reaction, and then come up with an appropriate reaction, an appropriate emotion, and practice doing the right response. And then do this for, you're gonna need hours of this. Do it once a day for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Picture the same situation, not 15 different situations, over and over and practice. Look, all of you have watched a sporting event like the Olympics or something, where you've seen divers especially, or gymnasts, etc. Literally, you see them getting ready and they're doing the motions. They're not actually out on the floor, but in their mind, you know they're rehearsing it. You can see them kind of going through the motions before going out and doing the thing. They're practicing in their mind. And in their mind, they're doing everything perfectly, so that when they go out there, they do what they've pictured in their mind. But if you've done it 47,000 times one way, just practicing in your mind once isn't going to fix it. Okay, this isn't an instant cure. Okay, I will do this. I'll say the same thing to you. I tell everybody I counsel that I tell them this. This absolutely 1,000% is guaranteed to work, but it's also never going to work if you don't do it. And it's not going to work if you do it only once. I've given people these kind of techniques, and they've said to me, oh, I've tried that. And I'm like, hold on a second. Tell me what that looks like. What did you actually do? Oh, they did it for 2 days, or they did it for a week and it didn't fix anything, so they stopped. I said, so no, you didn't do it. This isn't going to happen and fix something you've been doing for 37 years in practicing for a week. It is just not going to happen.